Welcome back to another episode of Hot Rabbi in the Seat. Although I'm not in the seat at the moment. Ask your questions. Let's go.
Miriam asks, a hippopotamus has split hooves and doesn't chew its cud.
No, it doesn't.
the
Hippopotamus
Torah
does not
says-
have hooves. It has hoof-like nails. Thank you. Next.
Why does Pirkei Avot say to refrain conversation with your wife? Does the Torah prohibit conversation with all women?
It does not say to refrain from conversation with your wife. It says don't marbe besicha, which means don't overly flirt in one sense, but it also means stupid, banal, childish, babyish conversation, because your wife actually, according to Judaism, as we've said, is a princess. She's your queen. When I was in yeshiva, you know what they said to me? They said, your wife brings all the blessing to your house. The wife brings all the light and holiness and kedusha to your house. So you have to treat her with respect. So to marbe sicha means don't have frivolous, stupid, disrespectful and maybe overly sexually flirtatious talk with your wife. Speak to her like an equal, like a partner, like someone you respect and look up to. That same Pirkei Avot does say you shouldn't be speaking to other women, but it doesn't mean never speak to a woman. It means, for example, if I'm going for a walk in the park with my wife and a friend couple, then I'll speak to my friend, the man, and my wife will speak to the wife. I'm not going to walk through the park speaking to someone else's wife because I don't want to give any of my emotional intimacy to a woman who's not my wife, although I have lots of female students, but I'm not looking at them deeply in the eye, with long eye contact. I'm not speaking to them on the phone. I'm not sending them WhatsApp messages. Whenever I meet those students, I meet and I talk about their lives and their problems and I coach them, but in an open area. And it's actually very, very healthy. Once again, someone said to me, it's very extreme that you don't, kiss other women on the cheek. It's just a little kiss on the cheek. And I say, well, it's extreme in some ways, but it means I've got an extremely amazing relationship with my wife. And we know how much cheating and abuse there is in the secular world. And people say, well, it's just a platonic relationship. It doesn't mean anything. But the truth is, platonic relationships aren't so simple because human beings are very sexually motivated people, and we just see it's just not worth going there. So Judaism says that we have fences around things so that we don't even come to be in a position where something that we shouldn't be doing happens. That's why we say, for example, a recovering alcoholic shouldn't go to a bar and then say, I'll just have self-control, because that's a very dangerous thing to do. So because my marriage is so intimate and so important, I don't want to do anything that could lead to any sort of behavior that might be inappropriate. Although, of course, I'm here for my female students, but in a very respectful and refined and open way.
So does Judaism prohibit all platonic relationships between man and woman?
It depends what you call a platonic relationship. So I have a relationship with my students, but I don't know if I call it a relationship. It's not like we're not talking to each other on the phone. It's I teach them, and if they have questions, they ask me questions, and they can book one-on-one time with me, and I help that. So yes, in that way, it's a platonic relationship. But the truth is that a platonic relationship between just really close friends, like I don't have any women who I'd call my friend. I don't have any female friends because I don't want to give my emotional intimacy to someone who's not my wife and talk out my issues with a woman who's not my wife. And if I'm having a difficult time with my wife, I'm not going to call up some other female and say to them, I'm struggling with my wife, because once again, emotional intimacy can create physical intimacy, and it's just not okay. I don't think it's a healthy thing to do. In fact, when I became religious, I called up some of my female friends that I grew up with, and I said, look, we're going to meet, but I don't touch women anymore. I don't hug them. Some of them freaked out, and I realized they weren't my friends. And other ones of them said to me, great, I respect that. I respect your journey. So yes, it is almost the opposite of the secular world, but it's creating for me, as I said a few times, deep emotional intimacy with my wife, but without being kind of weird, I hope. Although you might think it's weird. I'll tell you another little thing, secretly, women out there who are saying, you know what, he's just my best friend. He's not interested in me. If it was like 12 o'clock at night and you called him up and said, look, I'm just really desperate. I know it's a bit strange because we're just friends, but please, can you just come over and, just one time, please? He'd be there in a second because he's a guy and that's what guys do. So I don't actually think there is any such thing as a completely platonic relationship, because guys are very overly sexual people and they basically, as I've said before, sleep with anyone. So I think we've got to be a little bit careful in this area and be more refined. And as I've said also in other episodes, sex is meant to be the most beautiful, spiritually uplifting experience between spouses. So we have to be very careful in this area. As we have seen in the secular world, there's a lot of cheating and infidelity, And we don't need that in our lives.
Why do some Jews take on stringencies and takanot?
Some Jews take on stringencies because they live a very, very fear-based life, and they think they have to be perfect and do everything right. Otherwise, they're going to get punished by Hashem. So they become completely stringent, and they don't want to do anything wrong. And Rav Avadia Yosef said, "Kol hamachmir chamor." Anyone who is stringent for that reason is a donkey. The reason healthy people take on stringencies is because they're so in love with Hashem, they're so in love with life that they just want to go above and beyond the letter of the law. And they do it in a conscious and joyful way. So if you're doing stringencies and it's making you resentful of Judaism, or making you arrogant and looking down on other people, or if it's bad for your shalom bayis, your peace at home, or your financial situation, there's no reason to do it. But if you can take on a stringency in a joyful and conscious way, and it doesn't cause shalom bayis issues, and it doesn't cause financial issues, and it doesn't cause you to be resentful, and it doesn't cause you to be arrogant, there's no reason not to. I take on stringencies with my wife. I think I shared this example before. Tea bag in first, then hot water on the tea bag, not the other way around. You don't put the hot water in first and then the tea bag, because that's how she likes it. And then not only did I do that, then I also bring her a little sugar-free spout cookie as well. So I take on stringencies in my relationships when I value the relationships and I want to invest in them. That's actually what payouts are for. Did you ever wonder what payout for? Do we ask that question? What a payout for? Tell you what payout are for. The Torah says you can't shave the side of your head. So people who have payouts say, you know what? I'm going to go above and beyond the letter of the law to say, you know what, I'm not even going to touch it at all. I'm going to let it grow to show that I want the relationship. So there are two reasons people take on stringencies. One, a bad reason, because they're living out of fear or maybe arrogance. And one, a really good reason, because they want to do everything they can to invest in the relationship in a healthy, conscious, loving, joyful way.
I heard getting pooped on by a bird is good luck. Does Judaism agree?
No, I think it's terribly bad luck to get pooped on by a bird. Why would it be good luck to be pooped on by a bird? It's bad. It's on your clothes. It's bad. It stinks. No, actually, it doesn't really stink, does it? But I wouldn't want to be pooped on by a bird. I think that's terrible bad luck. I think it's a good attitude, though. I like that. You just got pooped on by a bird. Well, that's really good luck. No, it's terrible luck. You just got pooped on by a bird. That's bad. You know what I heard? To smash your face into a wall is terribly good luck. No, it's not. It's bad. You just smash your face into the wall. It's bad. I don't.
Why do we need mezuzahs on every door and not just the front door?
We need mezuzahs on every door because the purpose of the mezuzah is to wake us up to the presence of Hashem who loves us. And why not put it in as many places as we possibly can? I want to be reminded constantly that there's a higher purpose to life, that there's an infinite creator of the universe who loves me and is protecting me everywhere I go. A deeper meaning, by the way, is the front door represents the chitzonius, which means the external world. So when we're going from our home, which is meant to be a place of kedusha, holiness, into the external world, which might be a little bit more less holy, I want to take that consciousness within me. But the inner world is called panemius, so within your house as well, you want to maintain your high levels of God consciousness and kedusha within the house. So we really put these little reminders wherever you can, because das, which means conscious awareness, is the key to living consistently uplifted and holy life.
Does Judaism allow Botox and cosmetic surgery?
Yes, I believe it does, actually, especially if you have had some injuries and damage and feel very embarrassed to go out. And in general, if you're not happy with how you look, you're allowed to do that. Although, in general, we say if you're overly obsessed with your looks and you're just doing it to look a little bit prettier, it means that you've now identified too much as a body and less as a soul. So I think that's really getting the balance. And you see those like 8-year-old women walking around with like huge lips and like weird like makeup, and it's like you need to kind of let go at some point and realize that the body does get older. That Gemara actually says someone who identifies as a body, getting old is very, very difficult for them because they look in the mirror and they're getting older and decrepit and more horrible, and it's very, very difficult for them. And death is even more difficult because they've identified as a body so much that when they die, the soul is just very confusing. And the Gemara says it's like tearing a thistle from sheep's wool. It's very difficult. But someone who doesn't identify as a body and really identifies as a soul, death, firstly, getting old isn't so bad because the older I get, the more mitzvahs I've done, the more prayer I've done, the more meditation I've done, the more chesed, loving kindness I've done, the more I've worked on my character traits. So I'm actually really, really looking forward to being very, very old. I actually say to my wife sometimes, I can't wait to be 80, 90. You're going to be an old man with a long white beard and a tallis, and it's going to be my wife's like, what are you talking about? It's weird. But I'm very excited because when I'm 80, 83, as long as I'm still healthy, which I hope to be because I'm exercising a lot, I'm going to be a wiser, more present, conscious, God-conscious person. And then death is actually quite easy. The Gemara says it's like taking a hair out of milk. It just separates very easily. So that's the balance. So you can do Botox if you have injuries or you're really, really embarrassed to go out. But in general, we like to not fixate too much on our looks.
How are you allowed to use internet as a Jew?
How does that mean? Are you allowed, or how on your computer? How are you doing? How are you allowed to access? Is it like, how dare you be allowed to access the internet as a Jew, or in what way can you? I'll tell you. Filter. We say filters. There's something in Kabbalah called Klippa Noga. Klippa Noga is a middle ground. So, for example, there are some things that are completely tameh, completely defiled, and there's nothing you can do to uplift them. For example, pig, you can't uplift pig. Then there's something there's a completely kadosh, which means like holy, which is mindful meditation. Then there's a middle ground, like food. Food can be used for uplifting good things to keep you strong and healthy. But if you overeat greedily, that's disgusting. Money is another one. Money can be used to uplift the world and change the world, but it can be used to abuse and bad things. Also, physical intimacy. Physical intimacy can be completely abusive or completely beautiful and holy. So we have these areas. It depends how you use them. So the internet is one of those things which can be used for disgusting, horrible, terrible things, and it sucks your soul. Or it could be used to produce amazing, like 15-minute long podcasts, which can really help people understand Judaism on a deeper level and live a happier life. Rabbi in the hot seat, sign up, like, notifications, share with everyone. So yes, the internet, as long as it's been used in the right way, can be called is Klippa Noga and can bring holiness into the world. So that's why we say the filter might be the key for someone who doesn't have self-control. So on my computer, I can't access any sites with pornography or things like that. So I don't have to put myself at risk of seeing things that I shouldn't be seeing. Okay, thanks. So we had a little bit of internet and sex and hippopotamuses. Cool stuff in this episode. I like these things. Please spread them and with your friends because they'll live a much better life and be a much happier person. And I don't think enough people are watching this show. And Benny's doing such an unbelievable job of editing. Like, they're very, very well done. And Raquel, who's doing Instagram, and like, it's an incredible team doing incredible stuff. I don't feel enough people are watching. Let's get it viral because it's really going to help the world become a better place. I'll see you next time.